Good morning, everybody. It's Yankee Wally here. Oh, I'm sorry about last night. Got myself in a bit of a tizzy. I I get so mad, and then I get despondent, and then I think, oh. Anyway, I'm back now, and everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep going. But I am convinced, and I've got reasons to be convinced that it is the illiterate interloper herself that's picking on me, and because she never forgave me for calling her out on her fake pregnancies. That's what it is. Even though it's been a long time, and there's now a lot of other people who've jumped on the bandwagon. And when she did that baby mama dance in Santa Monica Hospital, I think she more or less convinced everybody that she definitely wasn't ever pregnant. It was like her tummy was full of boxes of Lego. But anyway, there's a little warning I just want to say, that be careful when you go onto her webpage. Just be careful, because buried in the fine print of her website is a privacy policy that allows the Sussexes to harvest visitors' personal data for what could yield them gigantic amounts of cash. It means that they can collect personal information that you have voluntarily submitted when you subscribe to the mailing list for the company's own use or to forward to other money-making organisations. It's one rule for them and one rule for everybody else. Harry and Meghan now see their future as commercial and political. So be very careful when you're giving out your information. For instance, if you went onto As Ever's website and you ordered some wine, which is all they've got left or what they're selling now, she's putting wine up every day, and you put your details, you put your credit card in, you put all that in, and they tell you it's out of stock, they've still got that information. In fact, they might even take the money and keep it for a little while before they give it you back, in which case it's a clever ploy, but it gets them interest on the money. It can sit in their bank account earning profit. I just I just wouldn't ever order from a site like that. Just be very careful. Oh, and she's put some more pictures up today. There's the one of them. She made these cakes. It looks like she made them herself. What do you think of them? Now, if I was going to make those, I think a few of them got burnt, and what are these silly little sprigs of flowers all over the place? And I don't rate them at all. But then again, she can do what the hell she likes. But I think that her Netflix deal is a no deal. It's a first dibs for Netflix. Basically, they're saying, come back with a few ideas and we'll take them on a one-on-one basis. If we like it, we'll do a deal. If we don't, you're free to go anywhere else. But I don't think she's got anywhere else to go. But it's not, they're not shutting the door on her, and I think that's because I think Netflix is seeing them as a commodity, even though they're both really disliked. There's no two ways about it. They're hate watched, if anything. I won't even watch their next one. I won't. I got no interest in it whatsoever, and I'm just joining the others when I talk about them. But I'm just trying to warn you that Meghan she's the sort of person that is money mad. She's crazy about money, which tells me that as a child, she must have felt inferior to other people. Maybe she didn't have as much money as other people. Maybe her friends in school were wealthier, their parents are wealthier than hers. It doesn't matter. I had many friends in school whose parents were married, and that was, my mother was a single parent. But I never felt inferior. I didn't ever feel inferior. And one of my friends, her name was Jane Gregory, and her father and mother were both working, and suppose they had a bit of money. And every night, when her father went to bed, she'd go through his pockets and steal his loose change. So Jane Gregory was very popular in school because every day she'd come to school with different amounts of money, 5 shillings, 2 and 6, 10 bob if she was, and she'd do it every day. And so obviously she was the one that everybody hung around, because whenever we went down the shop, she'd buy us all donuts and things. And I was as bad as the rest of them. I'd be hoping that she'd go through her father's pockets. I would never have done it to my mother, ever. But I know Jane Gregory did. And she was the most popular girl in the class. She used to buy cigarettes, and that's how I started smoking. But I don't care about that. Anyway, there's my old parlour there. It's the one that says Rapido Pizza. Now, I put those windows in on the top floor. That one on the right is actually like a door, opens like a door. And the other two, I had all the windows renewed. And anyway, they've just had planning permission to turn it into a restaurant that's open until 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's no big deal, is it? Because the parlour was open 24/7 and they didn't seem to care. And it's all changed now. Where it says My Halal, it used to be a dry cleaner's, Top Hat Laundry it was called. And this side, Eid Mubarak, that was a cafe. But this is a pizza place. They took that whole building off me. I'd had the roof done and everything. They took it all off me. Oh, and they kept it and they sold it. I don't know what they got for it. I was too close to having a nervous breakdown to even look at it. But good luck to the new owners. I'm sure they paid the Inland Revenue for it. It's a nice Welsh island. It's for sale for 3 million. If I win the lottery, I'll buy that, and you can all come and stay, and I'll just helicopter food in and everything. I'd have to win the lottery for that. But there's one here. There. As you know, Fiona lives in Spain, and I've always been looking at properties. I haven't got the money to buy anything, but I do like looking at properties. And then I was reading this, and it says, gorgeous Spanish villages where you can live for under 500 a month. And that's just my pension, that is. So I was thinking, how do they manage to live for 500 a month? Well, it's an article in the Daily Mail. There's a place here called La Mancha where you can live for 437 a month. And how they base their monthly costings is you'd have 6 public transport tickets, 2 visits to an inexpensive restaurant, 4 visits to cafes, 2 litres of milk, 4 loaves of bread, 1 kilo of rice. I'm not fussy on rice, but I'll have pasta. 6 eggs, butter, jam, pastries, tea, coffee, 500 kilogram. That's a pound of cheese, pound of chicken, pound of beef, fruit, vegetables, 4 bottles of wine, 2 litres of beer, soft drinks, utilities, a mobile phone, internet, and a cinema visit. You can have all that and pay your rent for 437. Isn't that tempting? And here's a few more here. 465, you can live in Andalusia. Extremadura, you can live for 435. I can't believe it. I'm really, really tempted to rent a place over there, and I can have my pension paid to me over there, and I could do it on that money. There, look. Population of 350. A place called Salamanca, 479 a month. It's not bad, is it? Ooh, that looks a nice place. 400 a month. Hey, it's in the Daily Mail anyway if you want to take a look. Does anybody fancy going over to Spain to live? You can't stay there for a year unless you've got a residence visa. But I am tempted. It's just an idea. I sometimes think about things like that. I'm always looking for things that make my life better or different. I know that if I don't hurry up, these last few years has been getting more important in my head. I think, oh, what about, see, right where I am here, I can walk over to the doctors, and I can, I'm close to a hospital, and these are the things you have to think of when you're older. you can't help it. You just got to consider everything, haven't you? And as I'm getting older, I'm thinking, well, I can't beat around the bush now. I've got to get a move on. And then I think, oh, God, I don't think you're going to make it, Sage, you know. So I at the moment, I'm just, well, the way I am. But anyway, I had the gasman come in today. He was coming to service the gas boiler. Oh, I hate letting them in. I don't like men coming in because I have to, well, I don't tidy up the place. What I did was I put newspaper all over the kitchen floor to cover up the dirt. So it looks fine. It actually looks quite nice. And so 12 to 5 they were due. So I sat here. I got my British Airways first class brand new pair of pyjamas on. And I had to shower and wash my hair with this blue shampoo, Oliplex. Somebody told me to buy it when my hair was breaking off. I didn't buy a new bottle because that's too expensive. They were about 12 quid. So what I did was I bought a second hand one from eBay. Somebody had used it and they didn't like it. Only one use, and I had it for about £5. So I washed my hair with that. So my hair's gone silver today. It looks all right. And I was sat here waiting for him, and I waited till 5:30, and I was mad. I thought, right, I'm not going to let him in when he comes and all this. And then I thought, well, they sent me a text the last time. They sent me 2 texts to say they would be here. I'll look and see if they've sent me an apology and another date. So I looked in my phone at my messages, and I looked at today's, and they're actually due tomorrow. I've done that so many times. I don't know why. I got no idea how it happens. But in my head, it was today. But it's actually the 14th, not the 13th. So they're coming tomorrow. They come every year to service my boiler. And I didn't eat all day waiting for him. I thought, I don't want to be in the kitchen when he's coming, so I'll just wait till he's gone, you know. Hold on a minute now. Let me just find what else. Oh, I know what I want to show you. I want to show you Bridget Macron walking. I just want to show you this. She's here. Come on, Bridget. Do you remember Johnny? Do you remember Johnny on the right there? That's when Meghan and Harry were in St. Paul's, and that woman's looking, and it was their last appearance. They were in white, and she got booed. She was in white. Looked like she had a microphone under her collar. And Johnny was Prince Charles's manservant or something. He just so happened to be sat right behind them. And that was no accident. He was placed there to keep an eye on them. And he did. Look at him. That's fabulous, isn't it? There we are. This was the Queen Saybot. And that sounds like a made-up email address. Queen Sadie bot. And the woman is Sharian Said. Looks like they've used my name in there, doesn't it, a couple of times? And I think that's how they recognise. I think this person is a professional complainer, and I think it is the woman herself. I do. I've emailed her and said, what on earth did I do? And it turned out that it was done by an automatic bot, and the actual piece of footage that I was supposed to have been so offensive in was this one, when she went in to see some young girls. Netflix had paid for a party for her. It was 1 minute and 30 seconds. Do you remember this? When she hunches over like a dowager's hump. This is it. And and 2 girls were tattooed, or I had tattoos, and it was just so fake. And I talked right through the minute and 30 seconds, and that was the piece of footage that got my community strike. I should complain about it, because there really isn't any reason for that to be the reason for a community strike. Everybody used the same stuff, and nobody else got into trouble except me, so I think I should have complained about it. Right, where's Brigitte now? I want to show you something. That was the black eye that Prince Andrew had, and I think that was in 2014, or maybe, no, 2017, when Harry had just met Meghan Markle, and I think he was the one who punched Andrew. And he also had a bloody nose from another confrontation with Harry, and I'm sure that it was over Meghan. Now, how would Andrew know that Meghan was a wrong un or a bad un. Well, how would he know? So, anyway, he must have had some sort of interaction with her. That's what I'm trying to say. Right, there's Macron, there's Brigitte, and I don't know if you just have a little look at her in that costume. She doesn't really look very feminine, does she? That's something else. I don't know quite what it is. Dimples don't lie. No dimples. I don't know if you can see dimples. There she is walking. Very big shoulders. Well, I tell you what, if she is a bloke and she has carried this off for so long, then she's got some courage. She really has got enormous courage. I mean, I could never be a bloke. I just know I couldn't. Bit more. Here's another one. Look at this. See the way she sat down? Look at that. There's quite a paunch there in her crutch, isn't there, as well? The way she sat down. I would never sit down like that, ever. So I think that if you look at all the evidence that is around at the moment, and the fact that Candace Owens doesn't really care if she's sued or not, she doesn't care. And I think the Macrons have been very stupid in going for Candace Owens. I mean, if I was in Macron's shoes and I was innocent and I was really a woman, Brigitte, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything. I'd just let it ride out. I would, because I got nothing to prove. But in their case, I think they really want to make a scene about it, and I think they're going to be... I just want to make sure that my volume is working okay. I don't want to... I think that they should... Look at this here. I can't help it. Every time I see Meghan Markle dancing, she needs a metronome up her ass, doesn't she? No, really. I'm sorry. I can't dance, but at least I won't get up and show myself up. Right, where am I now? What was I going to talk about next? I think we can safely say that Macron, Brigitte, has got a lot of male parts, a lot of male things that is... Even her chest, you can see all her bones coming through her chest. No bust whatsoever. And that is Candace Owens, for those of you that don't know. And she is not afraid. She says, I'm coming for your wig. And there's the family. And this is supposed to be Bridget on her mother's knee. But we believe that Bridget is the one on the left. And that person... There's a picture of him somewhere. He's an old fat bald man now. The brother, this one here. I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Hard to say. And the cheek of it, there's so many things going on in the world. I was listening to something tonight about AI. I'm getting a little bit fed up of AI. Artificial intelligence. I don't like it, but Stephen Fry did a documentary and I listened to it, and he said, in 2 years' time, in 2027, AI, that is the robots that they're making, will actually be able to check themselves and correct any mistakes. So in other words, they don't need humans. And that made me really think. It made me think long and hard, and I thought, if that's true, and if they don't need humans, what happens then? If they don't need humans, will they disobey? But they're not flesh and blood, they're not human. How can they reason if they're not human. They're not human, but they can correct their errors and they can grow in their brain size. In fact, they can calculate things 50 times faster than a human. The figures that they were coming out with were astonishing. And I think to myself, I'm not even sure I want to be around when all this is coming, but it's coming quick, next 10 years. That bothers me. So what did I do? Well, I went into YouTube and I started looking. I put in the search, what's the word? Dystopian. And I looked at these films of the world ending and aliens, not aliens so much as just things going wrong in the world and things go, and it quite, well, I scare myself. I don't need to watch horror things. I get scared with the reality of where we're heading. And I don't mean to scare you, but I think to myself, well, why should I want to live longer in this? I don't want to live longer in this world. I really don't. I'm happy with that. I think that we are very lucky people that are around my age. We are very lucky in that we were there from when we had no phones in our house to when we had a party line, landline, and then we had our own phone line, and then it went on and on and on. I can remember somebody having a mobile phone like a house brick, really the big ones, in 1991. I can remember that. I can remember ringing my grandfather and telling him I was on the top of the mountain in Pontypool, and he didn't believe me. And I was on a mobile phone. First time ever, and that was in 1991. My grampy, he was totally confused by that. And then, around the turn of the century, we had, well, mobile phones were getting a bit more popular then. They were also getting smaller and smaller. But I always had what they call a candy bar shape. I didn't have a smartphone until about 2015, I think. And they've got smaller and cleverer and smaller and smaller. And you wonder then, what else is... I mean, do you remember, it was about 20 years ago now, when they cloned a sheep. And it was Dolly. Her name was Dolly the sheep, and they cloned her. Very successful. They made another sheep exactly the same as Dolly from just some cells from Dolly's body. So there was Dolly and her identical double. She gave birth to it, I think, but it was identical. It had the same DNA as her. Now, we don't hear much about Dolly now, which is fine. I'm sure, everything, Dolly died and the sheep lived. I'm not quite sure, but I wonder sometimes that China or Russia could be cloning humans right now as we speak. And they could clone, let's say, 1,000,000 male people, humans. And they could just clone 1,000,000 of those. And then in 20 years' time, they'd have an army, a proper army. And I often wonder, why don't they talk about Dolly the sheep now? Are they doing it with humans and we don't know about it? Things like that really do bother me. Another thing they said, that they can make drones the size of bumblebees, and they can fly them around, these little mini drones with cameras and microphones. But in these drones, they can put toxic poisons like viruses and things, and that one bee-sized drone could wipe out a town. And then I'm sorry to have to go on about things like this, but my imagination does go a bit wild with things like this. And I think to myself, I don't want to change. I don't want to get with the modern systems now. I kept up pretty good. In fact, you've kept up pretty good because you have lived through the era of no phones, mobile phones, big PCs, down to little laptops. We've grown, we've lived through all of that changing, and we've managed to keep up because here we are now talking on the internet. Isn't that remarkable? But I think that's enough for me. I don't need to go any further now. As I'm getting older, I am realising that I'm forgetting a lot of things. I don't mind at all, but I'm finding that maybe I'm a bit harder on myself. I think if I can't remember something, it gets me, and I've got to think about it, and then I do think of it usually, and I think, stop putting yourself through this stress. The reason I'm so happy and I'm okay about most things is that I never get myself stressed. Now, if I started cleaning this flat, I think I'd have a heart attack. I know I would. I'd have something go wrong. I'm going to get a cleaner in, though. There's no two ways about this. It's got to happen, especially if I'm going to live in Spain, in Andalusia or wherever. And anyway, that's just my thoughts about things like that. But I tell you, tonight I was listening, and I know that a lot of you listen to me. And, I got to say thank you for some, wait there. I've got to say thank you to some people that sent me money. Little Alice Sings, she sent me my what they call it, my commissary. Thank you, Alice. Pamela Cantley, there's one. Thank you, Pamela. Alice Sings, I'm sorry, surnames are showing here, but don't worry about it because I don't think they'll find you. Teresa Bennett, thank you, Teresa. Daniel Teal, that's the 9th of August. So I think I'm up to date with everybody. I'm so grateful to you. As soon as I can get myself monetized, I'm going to say, put your money away. Money goes in a smaller place, and I'll be back to earning my own money, and that'll be nice. But anyway, excuse me, tonight, poor old Fiona, she was in a bit of a tizzy. And I'm very, very fond of Fiona. I was very fond of Graham, I still am. And Trevor Coult. I know he's a hard person to understand, but when you accept him for what he is, he's a very, very kind person. He really is. And people have done a lot of rubbishing people online. I don't know why. You don't have to do anything bad to them. They just pick on you. Sometimes I wonder if they're in Meghan Markle's on her payroll. I do wonder about that because big fat psychic, if you remember her, she came out of nowhere, called me, said that I was pretending to be my own lawyer, that Gina Walters or whatever her bloody name was. I was no such thing, but Gina Walters was collecting money on YouTube pretending to be Montecito Royale. There was a lot of bad things going on back in the day. And the other day I was looking for a picture that Fiona wanted, one of the old ones. I was going through my old phone and I started coming across the screenshots of all the trouble. And it was jam-packed every day. It was miserable. It was totally miserable. And through it all, I was getting knocked off YouTube again and again and again. Demonetized, this, that. I never had a run of good luck on YouTube. I've never had. I had maybe 6 months and that was the end of it. And I fought back for a lot. And a lot of you said to me, don't do it. Don't bite. But I had to do it, Like Fiona, she will grab the bull by the horn. She's fearless. And I was like that. But when you've got bitten, you don't go back again. And as much as I will always support Fiona, always support Trevor, and a lot of other ones too on X. There's one called Bronwyn. There's Tribes Britannia. There's some lovely people on X. Patricia is one of them as well, an Australian lady. I don't know, I got a lot of followers on X, and they're really lovely people. I'm happy that I've got those people. I don't want to get involved with the trouble that I was involved with before. And all I was doing was standing up for myself, maybe going a bit too far, as you know. I did, and I apologise for that to Christopher Boozy. But I mean, it's done now. I've paid the price. But I think that Meghan Markle is still the one that is. I don't think she's got the money to pay these little bots anymore, or these little slaves that she got. And I think she's doing it herself. I think she's making up email addresses, getting in touch with YouTube. And I think that she either got a contact in YouTube or she's... No, I think she's got to have a contact, because what she took me down for was wholly unfair. But I do feel a bit sorry for Fiona, because what they did when Graham was really, really ill was awful. But I've talked about this before, and I don't think I need to talk about it again. I just want to reassure you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I'm never, ever going to get sidetracked by the personal things that people are throwing at me. What's her name, that one in The Murky Side of Megxit? That's the one. Now, I had a glance through that tonight, because first off, I watched Fiona's video and I got a bit... I thought, gosh, what's going on now? Because I don't follow it anymore. I'm proud, very proud to say that. Don't follow it. But when Fiona was having a bit of a letting off steam, I thought, let me go and have a look at The Murky Side of Megxit. Well, turns out, unbeknownst to me, that Trevor Colt had given me a shout-out last week, 4 days ago, something like that. So what do? They tell him off. Shame on you, Trevor, the military man is friends with the brothel keepers, something like that. I don't bloody care. I don't care. That was my past. I would never, ever run a brothel now. No, I wouldn't. And what I did and what I felt back in my early 40s is not the way I feel now. I will always defend working girls. I will always defend them. Everyone's got a reason for doing the things that they do. And I was happy to give them a clean, safe working environment. Absolutely safe. I spent as much money as was needed to give them cameras all around the building, doors opening outwards, not inwards. If you want a secure door, an outside door, you get a solid wood fire door. It doesn't have to be pretty. You don't need any windows in it. And you put it on your outer door and you have it opening outwards, so that when you're opening the door from the inside, you're pushing it, right? Because the person coming in on the other side of the door, they can't push that, especially when you've got a great big architrave around with 8-inch nails, screwing that into the brick, and they've got to push past that with a great big fire door. It's different to pulling a door open to pushing a door open. If you've got the door jamb against them, you know what I'm saying? And that's the way to keep your doors safe. And the doors had a great big heavy spring on them. Massive spring, 2, top and bottom, so that when you push the door open to let the customers in, if they didn't grab the door, there was no handles on the outside, none at all. They didn't grab the corner of that door, the door would just slam shut and they couldn't get in because there was no handle and they couldn't get their fingers in the gap. And that was... So if they ever had caused trouble on the door, step, like they do, I want to come in, or there's too many of you, we can't let you in. Oh, come on, you just let the door go, pull it to, and the next thing you know, even though you haven't slid the locks, they still can't get in. Those little things make things a lot safer. In fact, we had 1, 2, 3, 4... We had 5 outside doors in that parlour, 5, right? And cameras were on every one of them. And every one of them, we had window jams. One of the kitchen door was a UPVC door because it had been replaced with the windows. And I had a number lock. You tap the number in. Well, the girls would give it to their boyfriends and all that. And every time I went to change those numbers on those locks, I'd drop a little screw or a little cog. And I couldn't do it, to be honest. I didn't know how to. They showed me and I tried, but I just couldn't change the numbers. So in the end, we just had a plain handle, but we had door jams. Like your window jams, little UPVC things that just... one at the top and one at the bottom. Once we put those window jams on the door, nobody could get in. We kept the lock on it. We kept the combination lock on it. But we put the jammers on after the night crew came in. Just little things like that to keep it all safe. I think it's time I told you some stories about the girls. I think the first girl we'll talk about is Saffron. Safi, the stripper. The one that lived in Australia. So she had a massive map of Australia all over her stomach. And because she liked Australia, she only lived there for about 6 months. But I'll talk about her in the next one. I think I gotta go now. I think my time's up. Oh, good God, yes. I'm going to bed now. Hope this uploads. Fingers crossed. If it doesn't, you'll never hear from this again. And I'll see you hopefully in the next day or two. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for being my subscribers. Thank you to Alice Sings and the other two, Teresa and Daniel and one other, wasn't it? I don't like to forget. See, it's because my brother got dementia. I'm always so hard on myself. Wait there now. Alice. Teresa Bennett. Daniel Teal. I think there was one other up here. Alice. Pamela Cantley, that's it. Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy now. I'll see you soon, yeah? I'm going to bed now anyway. Cheerio.